So today I was asked by the Rosh Koil to divide the time we have 50 to 60% shir on Sreifes, Chala, and Trumat Tameya, and 40 to 50% shmuz regarding Lag Baomer, the great day Shememashmeish Vebo. So in a previous shir, I said I would like to discuss the topic, the sugya of Sreifes, Chala, and Trumat Tameya. So the minig oilam, obviously going many years back, is not to be makpid dafke b'sreifa, and most people wrap it up, especially when we're dealing with Trumat Tameya, and wrap it up and dispose of it, throw it away. And obviously that minig goes back many years, and the Chayodam already brings that minig in Shari Tzedek, and he rejects it. But obviously it was a minig going back more than 200 years, and we find the same in many later sources, and some quote that's minig Eretz Yisrael, because in Chutz La'aretz they had Chala, but they didn't have Trumat Tameya. So, and most of the Achronim maintain that would depend on the Machlokes Rashi and Tosfos, are two different reasonings, Tamim, we find in Rashi and Shabbos Chofei why Trumat Tameya is b'sreifa. So Shabbos Chofei Amud Aleph, the Gemara says, Ma Kodeshim b'sreifa af Trumat Tameya b'sreifa. Just like Kodeshim Tameyim is mitzvosam b'sreifa, the same regarding Trumat Tameya. And Rashi writes, the Domele Kodesh, Inami Mishum Takola. So two different svaras why Trumat Tameya would be b'sreifa. Tosfos, on the spot, Shabbos Chofei Amud Aleph quotes Rashi that the reason Trumat Tameya is b'sreifa is Mishum Tekola. And Tosfos doesn't bring, like they usually do, that Rashi says two different svaras. Tosfos quotes Rashi as if that is the Ikar Tam. And I think it's Tosfos. Tosfos refers to Rashi and Perik Ilu Oivrim in Psochim Mem Vav. Psochim Mem Vav, Rashi says that Trumat Tameya you either burn or give for behemoths, for animals. You could feed Trumat Tameya to animals because Poras Koyen, behemoths Koyen, could be fed Trumat Tameya, Machal Behemah, and that is Koyen ki yikne nefesh kinyan kasboi hu yoichel balachmoi. Kinyan kasboi is not only Yeshes Koyen, it is also Behemoths Koyen, as we find in many different sources in Shas. So Rashi, obviously in Psochim Mem Vav and in Beit Zechov Zayin Omid Beis, clearly says that you could feed Trumat Tameya to animals, and Tosfos maintains Rashi L'shitosoi that the Ikar Tam Trumat Tameya is b'sreifa is Mishum Takola, and therefore because the reason is Takola, there's no difference how you dispose of it. The Ikar is it should not be b'heiseg yad, and people shouldn't be nichshal by mistake, by negligence, to consume and eat Trumat Tameya. So that is only one reason in Rashi, but according to the other Tam, Domel HaKodesh, and Tosfos says it is either Mishum de Ikrei Kodesh or Mishum Domel HaKodesh. And Tosfos is Mesupik whether then this is Menatoira or Midrabanan, but Tosfos clearly says no. Sreifa is Sreifa, and no other way. So according to Tosfos, you need to burn Chala Tameya and Trumat Tameya. And Chala and Truma have the same din and the same reason and the same time. But according to one out of the two Pirushim in Rashi, at least Tosfos maintains, doesn't need to be Dafka Sreifa. Any other way you dispose of the Truma, it should not be Beheseg Yad, and there should not be any Chashash Michshor. So before we go further, I want to quote Reb Moshe, and Reb Moshe has a tshuva in Yoredei Chelegim Siman Kuf Chof Tes, and I know that you learned that tshuva. I don't know whether it's in the big sefer, but Rabbi Kiva sent me the Makoides, and Rabbi Moshe is very adamant, and he says Sreifa and Dafka Sreifa and nothing but Sreifa. So it's a very powerful argument according to Tosfos, but Rabbi Moshe loines kararodato till he says Gamali b'Rashi, and he says when Rashi B'chlal doesn't mean two tamim, Rashi means Ikra Kodesh. So what does Rashi write Mishum Takola? So Rabbi Moshe, it's very typical of the Higras Moshe. He has his way. He has his way. and might not sound reasonable, but that's his way. And Moshe has a few arguments. He says, first of all, according to Rashi, it is clear, Dafka from Beit Zechov Zion. That same Rashi which Tosfos understands, Mishum Tekola. Rashi says you could feed it to an animal. So the Moshe says, but if Truma wouldn't have a din of Sreifa, then what would be Rashi's vora Achsheve Rachmona la Avarosa? And when you feed it to an animal, it's still considered Sreif and Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom. So this Rashi is really an amazing Rashi and difficult to understand. So Rashi twice in Shas. Psochim Memvov Amud Aleph Beit Zechov Zayin Amud Beis. Rashi writes, you could feed Truma Tameya to the animal if it belongs to a kohen. But Rashi in Beit Zechov Zayin says, even when you feed Truma Tameya to an animal, you're over an Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom Tov. Achshaveh Rachmon El Avaroson Ve'havi Melocha or Domi Le Melocha. I don't recall the exact lashon of Rashi. Minchas Oshe Psochim Simen Peiches is the last siman of Masechet Psochim, and it's Likutei Ha'oros Ktzoris. And I dealt with Rashi. And I brought many Achronim. And all we have to do is add the Igris Moshe to the list of Achronim I quoted there, who really understood that because Truma Tameya Mitzvosa B'Sreifa, even when you feed it to an animal, it is as if you burnt it, and you're over and loy sevaru eish b'chol meish v'seichem, and that just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. And there's no way in the world one could explain, if there is no fire, how is one over on Maleches Havora? If there is no fire, how would one be over on Maleches Havora? No way. And therefore I wrote that Lanias Daiti Kavonas Rashi Pshuto Betachalis. And Rashi means to say, the Isser of Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom Tov has nothing to do with Lamites Malachas. It has nothing to do with Malachas Havora. Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom Tov is an Isser into itself. Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom Tov. And therefore, because Seifes Kodeshim is lav davka Seifes Kodeshim, it means biur Kodeshim, kilui Kodeshim, disposing of Kodeshim, and therefore doesn't matter what method you use. Ein mevarin Kodeshim B'Yom Tov. And Rashi maintains, when the Gemara says Ein Sof and Kodeshim B'Yom Tov, it is as if Chazal said Ein mevarin Kodeshim B'Yom Tov. So the problem is, Rashi writes, if we have a Beit Gemara, we could check it. Domi lemelocha, ach sheverachmona lemelocha. So many times, as my Talmidim know, I am somewhat flexible with Lashonis, lahamed esadvorim al tikunum, and that is what I learned from the Chazon Ish. So Rashi writes, even if you feed it to an animal, you're over. The Gzeres HaKosevi she'eina kodeshim tameim mizbarem b'yom tov. Eina kodeshim tameim mizbarem b'yom tov. The Rachmona achshev el avaroson, the Chsiv Beish Zorev, hilkach malochehi. And I say, hilkach isurehi. Rashi doesn't mean malocha. Vlametas malochas. It is an issa. Achshev Rachmona la'avaroson. That is the Kavon of Rashi, but it's not Lo Yisavaru Eish B'chol Meish V'Seichem. It is not Lamid Tes Malochas. And I think Tosfos feels that, because Tosfos quotes Rashi Psochim Mem Vov. Rashi Psochim Mem Vov is the same as Rashi in Beit Zechov Zayin. And Tosfos writes, Rashi Psochim Mem Vov is Rashi L'Shitosei, that it's Mishum Takola. So, my understanding of Rashi is Takola. Still, Tosfos says, Dafke Sreifa. Domi lekoidish, midarabonon, ikroi koidish, midiuraisa. And Rashi also says, according to one pshat, that it's Sreifa. But the Moshe argues, no, even if it's Takola, Dafke Sreifa. Rashi doesn't mean an additional tam Rashi means the reason is Dom Kodesh. But why does he have to burn it at once? Mishum Tekola. It's a gewaltige Doichik in Rashi. Toyses definitely did not understand Rashi in this way, because Toyses writes, if it's Mishum Tekola, you could dispose of it in other ways, and you don't need Dafka Sreif as Mehechet Teise Leferesh Rashi Shalo Kedarko Shalo Toysves. So Rav Moshe argues Dafka Sreifa, even according to Rashi, V'loi Kavonas HaToysves B'divrei Rashi, and his Pshat in Rashi Beitzach of Zion is that because you need Dafka Sreifa, even feeding it to an animal would be Loi Savari Yesh B'chol Mash V'seichem. So how could you feed it to an animal? If it's Dafka Sreifa, how could you feed it to an animal? Then you're Mavatla Mitzvah Sasei. And the Bitla Mitzvah Sasei definitely wouldn't be considered a Malacha. You're not doing it. You're not Mekayim the Mitzvah of Seifas Kodshim. So how could one explain to Rashi, Sreifa is Dafka Sreifa? Otherwise it wouldn't be a Malacha. But if you feed it to an animal, it's also Sreifa. But you're feeding it to an animal, you're not Mekayim the Mitzvah. You're Mavatl the Mitzvah. So I don't think there's any Pshat in Rashi besides what I say. Rashi means Ein Sof and Kodesh and B'Yom Tov is an Isar. It's one of the Isurim of Yom Tov. I would say Domile Melocha. You know, the Torah Asad Seifes Kodesh and B'Yom Tov. The Torah Asad Biur Kodesh and B'Yom Tov. And that's the deal in Rashi's Loshan and Beitza. Ein a Kodesh Mizbar and B'Yom Tov. Ach Sheverech Monel La'av HaRoson. Because es steht Beish Tesoifu, and therefore any form and method of biur truma vekochim is a malacha. Rashi doesn't mean lametes malachas. Definitely isn't kores. Would it be kores? Feeding truma to an animal according to Rashi and Beitza would be kores? Would be mises based in? It's absurd. It's a malacha, which means it's also just like malachas are also. Like Tchumin. It's an Isser in Shabbos and in Yom Tov. So that is regarding the Moshe Shuvah. But we still need to understand, so why not Sreifa? Why not Sreifa? So the Chayodim in Shar Tziyun writes, not Shar Tziyun, Shari Tzedek, that's the Chayodim on Mitzvah Satluis Ba'oretz, that you need Dafka Sreifa. What? Why don't we do Sreifa? What is the minig oilam? Why are we makel not to do Sreifa? Why not Dafka Sreifa? So the Chayodim argues you need Dafka Sreifa, and he rejects the minig that many just wrap it up and throw it away, or Yizorek Liyam. That is what the Chayodim rejects. The Chazon Ish, the Ma'aseh in Tezvov, profound, the Chazon Ish writes, Sreifa. Sreifa is Sreifa. And we don't rely on Rashi Mishum Tekola and Toys's interpretation of Rashi that you could dispose of it in any way. But the minig is not to do Sreifa because it's a tercha. And also, we are Choshesh Tekola. Because if people will want to do Dafka Sreifa, when? When will you do Sreifa? Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, waiting for good weather. Maybe we'll do it together with Sreifas Chometz. And Ada Hochi V'Hochi, you're going to have that Trumat Tamei in your house, V'osi Beile Dei Tekola. So the Chazon Ish writes, that's why we don't do Dafka Sreifa, and he is accepting and, lenient and understanding the minig that we don't do Dafka Sreifa, but the minig is to throw it away. And it's a big pillar. If it's a chiyuv, then it's not typical of the Chazon Ish. We're makel because it's a tercha. Why? It's such a big tercha that your pot of mitzvah says, hey, go out to the yard, light a match, and burn it. Is it the type of tercha to leave your house for Shabbos and move to another place to hear Parsha Zohar? And the Gemara says, and the Shulchan Aruch paskins that you're mechuyev to do that. So what's the big tercha burning chometz? And tekola. So we're mavatla mitzvah. The Chazon Ish should say, no, you need immediately to go out and burn it. Begoren or beyekev, or wherever it is. So the Chazon Ish l'chayre is a gewaldige chiddush. So the material I saw, some say, Minchas Yitzchok, Shalosh Shuvas Minchas Chelik Dalet Siman Yud Gimel, Rav Moshe Sternbuch, Shuvas V'Anogas, Shi'abod L'chaim Tovim V'Aruchim, Shuvas V'Anogas Chelik Aleph Siman Tov, Reish Ayin, because we are mafresh pochas mekazayis, it's a chotzashiyah. And maybe b'chotzashiyah there is no mitzvah of sreifa. Which brings us to a question. Seif is kochim and seif is tumet tameya. Does it have a shear? Do you need a shear kazayis? So these achronim are mefalpel. I think you definitely don't need a shear kazayis because there's a machloikis tanua in the Mishnah when you left Yerushalayim. How far away are you that you need to come back to be soif of kodshim bebira, soif kodshim bebira? And the Gemara says if you have more than a beya, if you have less than a beya. So the question is only how far do you have to go to be soif of b'mkoimoy? But in that sugi is mashma that even after less than kazais, there still is a mitzvah of seifes kodshim. So these achronim are medama seifes tumet tameya. So biur chometz. Biur chometz is a machloikis pochas mikashia. I don't think seifes tum has anything to do with biur chometz. And they're mefalpel chotzashia b'mitzvah sasei. And would seifes tum be similar to other mitzvahs sasei, or because tumet tameya is also b'achila? Seifes tum is associated with achila and big pilpulim, based on the assumption that because we don't have a shia, it's pochas mekashia chala and trema that we're a mafresh, and therefore maybe there wouldn't be a mitzvah of sreifa.
So there, b'shas afrosha, we should l'chatchila be mafresh to be yotzeh mitzvahs asay sreifa. Not just what's nesina, you should have a shir daraisa machnas this mitzvah of sreifa.
Okay, so that brings us back, I think, to our previous shir, right? If the shir is only by nesina l'koyin, does a person have to be mafresh l'chatchila enough to give for a koyin? I think by sreifa there's more room to say no, there is no chiyuv. It is only if you have a kazayas, trumet tameya, or kodeshim tameim that you have a mitzvah of sreifa. But there is no inyan l'chatchila to be mafresh in order to burn. Because sreifas truma and sreifas kodshim is essentially not avoida. It's not like giving for a koyin. So that wouldn't be such a powerful argument. But I still think that, I don't think that's the word. I think the minig not to burn truma is even if you do have a kazayas, and sometimes we are mafresh chala b'kazayas, and in matzah bakeries when they have. I think the basic minig not to be soyer of trumet tameya and chala tameya bizman hazeh is even if you do have a kazayas, and it has nothing to do with the question of pochas mikashir. So I also saw Shmiya Shabbos Kelchosa quoted. I didn't have time to look it up. Chelik Beis, Perik Mem Beis. He says, at the end of the day, when the garbage is taken away, it is incinerated, it is burned. So, in that way, we are mekayim the mitzvah of Sreifas Truma. But if the mitzvah rests upon us, would that be considered Kiyum mitzvah Sreifas Chometz? At some stage, it would be burned. Most of the garbage is not burned, but rather disposed of in other ways. And even if it is burnt, probably that would take weeks. And before it's burned, it would rot and decompose, and there no longer would be a mitzvah of seifes tumah. There is no mitzvah of seifes tumah, seifes chala, when it is no longer ra'ui lo lachilas odom v'lo lachilas kelev. So l'chayru we are mevatel the mitzvah of seifes chometz. And I think the answer is pushet betachlis apshitas to this entire controversy, and that is the way I understand the Chazon Ish. And we once again come back to Minchas Osha Mesechet Psochim. I quoted the last siman of the Sefer, and now I go back to the second siman of the Sefer, Minchas Osha Psochim Siman Beis. Toisves, in the very first Tois, Mesechet Psochim Toisves asks, why were Chachomim machmir b'chometz yoisem b'kol shar asuri anoah, and that there's a chiyuv biur, and all the achroinim wonder, Elu henan isrofim. Chometz is not unique. There are many others, Orla, Kili Akerem, Chometz Bepesach, Trumit Tameya, Elu Henan Esrof, and Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis. It's a Mishnah in Mesechet Psochim. So the Achroinim suggest different tirutzim. It's a gewaltige kasha. Toysa says Chometz is unique. We don't find by any other Isser Noah a Chiyuv Biur. Of course we do. Ilian Hani Kavorim, Ilian Hani Srofim. So by Chometz there's a Machlokes, whether Ein B'Chometz Ela Sreifa, or Hashbasosa B'Chol Davar. So, all the other Isur Noah, there's a Chiyuv Biur, either B'Seifa or B'Kvura. So what's different about Chometz? Kovetz Shur Rebbe Chonin says, no, only by Chometz is a Chiyuv B'Dika. We don't find a Chiyuv B'Dika about any other Isur Noah. But Tosfos doesn't mention Chiyuv B'Dika. Tosfos says, Shetiknu Tzivu Chachamim Levarom. Tosfos speaks about Bia, not about B'Dika. Secondly, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Because by other Isur Noah, what do you need a Chovis B'Dika? Chovis B'Dika makes sense only by Chometz because all year round you eat Chometz. And Chometz is all over the place. And Kol Mokom Shemachnisim by Chometz. So because the Isra of Baal Yeroah, and Isra Noah is only once in a year, you need to be Baidik. But other Isra Noah, you don't commonly have Basa B'Cholav in your house, so when you have Basa B'Cholav, you need to burn it. You don't commonly have Orla or Kili Akerem in your house. So, what's a Shaykh by other Isra Noah B'Dika? That definitely is not what Tosfos is troubled. So this suggestion falls. Chazon Ish Siman Kuf Chav Daled, which is Chidushim Mesechet Psochim Al Seder Adapim. Chazon Ish Orchaim Kuf Chav Daled. The Chazon Ish says, Tosfos means other Isur Noah you only have to burn if it's your own. By Chometz, even Chometz Shel Acherim, if it's in your possession, you need to destroy it. So Tosfos should stress Chometz Shel Acherim. Tosfos at least sounds like there is no Chiyuv Biur, only by Chometz v'Pesach and not by other Isur Noah. Svas Emes says, no, only by Chometz there's a specific time when you need to burn it, right now. Well, of course there's a specific time, because Honi Chometz is Toli Bizman. Other Isur Noah are always Osa B'Noah. So what time limit would there be by Orla Kilakerem or Bosa B'Cholav or Avodah Zorah? Immediately. If you have Bosa B'Chometz, burn it. Orla, burn it. Chometz, by its very nature, has a time limit because all year round you could eat it. So I think all the suggestions from Achronim and Tosfos, I think the Achronim had it to be in extreme distress to offer such pshotim, because they really don't stick to Tosfos and they don't really make sense. So the tshuva pshuta is, this Tosfos is a gewaldige raya to the Chassam Sofer Tshuvas Orachaim Kuf Pei and the Minchas Chinuch Mitzvah Tes. Neither of them brings Tosfos, but Tosfos is a gewaldige raya. The Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch both say, Kol HaNisrofim, there is no chiyuv sreifa. It's a mitzvah, but not a chiyuv. It's not a chiyuv. It's a mitzvah. This is what you're supposed to do. But it's never a bitul mitzvah to say. I mentioned some time ago, there are mitzvahs that are chiyuvim, and there are mitzvahs shel reshus. Kohen shoichel troma. There is no bitul. There only is kiyum. The Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch, and both the Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch are soise devreiim b'makoymes acherim, because it's a big chiddush, and I want to prove it's a big chiddush, because neither the Svas Emes nor the Kovetz Shurim nor the Chazon Ish, they would have been aware of this chiddush. That's Tosfos. That's Tosfos. But the Chassam Sofer Kuf Pei Orachaim and the Minchas Chinuch Tes, the Minchas Chinuch soise divrei atzmai by the mitzvah of Trumen Kuf Mem Vav. So the Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch say, Elu en hanekvorim ve'elu en hanesrofim is not a chiyuv, it's a mitzvah. And I think it's beferish in Rashi, Tmura Lamedala Domadalef. Rashi says, Kol hanekvorim lo yisroifo. Why not? Because Kol hanesrofim afro mutar. It's only if you burn it. But if you're going to bury it, there's a chashash, it will be uncovered, and people will benefit and be nana. But nisrofin, ein afron mutar, only if they were burned. And Rabbi Akiva Eiger on the spot says, Kol hanesrofin lo yegboida, because you're mevatel mitzvah sleif. It's a bitul mitzvah sosei. No. It's not a bitul mitzvah to say. Because kol hanisrofin is not a chiyuv, it's a mitzvah. Shelo yovel edei tekola, it becomes a chiyuv. But shelo yovel edei tekola, you're mekayim with kvura. Sreifa is never a chiyuv, it's a mitzvah. V'kach mefurash beritva, daf lamed hei b'mesechet sukkah. The Ritva says there's a difference between Ashera, which we say Ktuse Mechtes Shiurei, but a Esek Shel Olav Kelei Kerem, we do not say Ktuse Mechtes Shiurei. Why not? What's the difference between Avodah Zorah, Lulev Shel Ashera Posel, Ktuse Mechtes Shiurei, but an Esek Shel Olav Kelei Kerem, we don't say Ktuse Mechtes Shiurei. So the Ritva says, because only Avodah Zorah Chayev L'Sorfoi, but Olav Kelei Kerem, Oimid lekach, but it's not a chiyuv. So it's a ritva mefurish. It's a Rashi daf lamed daled o medalef v'mesechet Temura, and the Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch are right. It's not a chiyuv. So I say, Sreifa is truma dafke sreifa, but it's not a chiyuv. It's a mitzvah, not a chiyuv. And that is why the Chazon Ish says it's a proper thing to do, but it's a tercha. More for us than it was in the past. Because in the past, people put on fires all the time. You had a fireplace, we used fire. In the modern kitchen, we don't use open fire. And putting challah tamei into your oven might be a shaila, it might asa your oven. It's a surah noah. So in our modern lifestyle, it's a tercha. And there might be a chashash tekola. And it's not a bitul mitzvah to say, because Trumat Tameya is in the same Mishnah, Lamed Gimel Omed Beis in Temura, together with Kol HaNisrofim. And all the other Nisrofim, it's not a chiyuv, it's only a mitzvah. And I proved that from Rashi in Temura Lamed Daled, and from the Ritva in Sukkah Lamed Hey, and that is exactly what Tosfos says. Only by Chometz, it's a chiyuv biur. Even though men Torah bebitul ba'al misagi, but Chachamim said no, you're mechuyev to be mevayer. We don't find that by any other Isra. So the Chronim says, why? There are nisrofim. Nisrofim are not a chiyuv, and that's Pashtus Kavunas HaTosfos. So the first Chronim to think about this is the Chassam Sofer and the Minchas Chinuch, and I think they're right. Kach muchach Tosfos Psocham Beis Amud Aleph, Rashi Temura Lamed Aleph, Ritva Sukkah Daf Lamed Hey, and that is miyashav minhag ha'olam that we don't do sreifa. So my opinion is Hanach lebnei Yisrael em lo neviim em bnei neviim em, and I totally agree with the Chazon Ish. The right thing to do is to burn. If you could, burn. So for Rosh Hashanah, easier to burn. Peiros is very hard to burn. You need a big fire to burn a piece of lemon or a piece of apple or oranges or different peiros. The matzahs for Rosh Hashanah Erev Pesach is very easy to burn because it's brittle, and matzahs are like sticks, like twigs. They burn immediately. Dough, somewhat harder to burn. So the Chazon Ish says it's a tercha. And there is a chashash of tekola. I know matzahs was mafresh challah erev Pesach, and you put aside the matzahs, and it happened more than once that the keres habayis forgot what these matzahs were that you put aside in the kitchen, and one of the family members ate the challah. So when the Chazon Ish says sheyavoy tekola, it's not a dovar rochoy kol kach. And the Chazon Ish says that is why our minhag is not to burn. But ani is daiti, it's a minig nochain. So if you could burn it, you're mekayim a mitzvah. You're mekayim a mitzvah. That's kol hanisrofim. But it's not a bittul mitzvah to say. And burning Isra Noah is not a chiyuv. It's only a mitzvah. And the only Isra Noah that it's a chiyuv l'soif is chometz bepesach kemavuar b'divrei Tosfos b'psocham Beis Amud Aleph. So that is what I have to say. And we're miyashav a minig Yisrael. And this minig goes back 200 years, as we see in the Chayodom, as we see in the Chazon Ish. When we say there's a chashash takol, if someone puts the challah dough in the freezer every week or whatever, whenever they make challah, and then
burn it, let's say, by streifas chametz. We say there's a chash takola, they put it in the freezer.
Once again, burning challah is a mitzvah. When the Chazon Ish says takola, the Chazon Ish doesn't have the authority to make a new gzeira or a new takona. Sachakol, the Chazon Ish is miyashav a minig. The Chazon Ish doesn't say it's preferable to throw it in the garbage and not to burn. So if a person is totally confident that there is no chashash takola and he puts aside the challah ultimately to burn it, I think that's okay. Because dafke l'shitosi, if it's not a chiyuv, there also would not be a problem with zrizim magdiyim ala mitzvahs. Because if you throw it away, you're not makayim the mitzvah of sleifa. Maybe it would be preferable to throw it away, because according to Rashi mishum takola, it's a mitzvah derabanan. And why wait with a mitzvah derabanan a year till sleifas chometz? Put away your lulav for sleifas chometz. Good enough. You don't need challah as well for sleifas chometz. So I don't know. You know, the minig putting aside the chalav all year for sleifas chometz is part of it. I'm not for and I'm not against, because on one hand, sleif is preferable. According to Rav Rishonim, the din of Tumet Tameya is sleif. So it's preferable to burn. But on the other hand, the minig is to dispose. And if you throw it in garbage, you're makayim, the mitzvah derabanan at least, of disposing of trima, mishum tekola. So what is better, waiting a year to be makayim a mitzvah dioraisa, which is not a chiyuv, or immediately being makayim the mitzvah derabanan? And the Chazon Ish is somewhat concerned about takola. So I would not say it's wrong, but I would not be excited about the minik putting aside chumetz all year for sleifas chumetz. Okay, so that's the first part of our shir today.
It's not against Rashi's takola because you're careful with it?
What?
Leaving it in the freezer.
That
You should be also to keep
maybe. Because according to Rashi, the chiyuv to burn is mishum takola, that is a takona. You know, if it would be merely a chashash, the Chazon Ish, let us make clear. The Chazon Ish argues, even if the mitzvah is sleifa, we're afraid of takola. The Chazon Ish can't make a new gzeira. So if the mitzvah is sleifa, to say not to burn mishum takola is a chashash. The Chazon Ish cannot impose a chashash. However, according to Rashi, that mishum takola, there's a mitzvah to dispose of it, then keeping it for an extended period would be a bittul of a chiyuv derabanan. Yes. So maybe it's not such a good minig. Maybe it is not such a good minig, because according to Rashi, and in my opinion, it's Rashi in 3 different sources in Shas. I don't know whether other Rishonim we find the same as Rashi, but Tosfos definitely understands Rashi that it is mishum tekola, so maybe it would be an isser to keep challah in your house and not dispose of it. So I think most Rishonim go in the footsteps of Tosfos. So we could say, Ein halochik Rashi. But on the other hand, no. This is developing as I talk. The Mishnah at the end of Tumura, Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, Elu hen hanikvorim, Elu hen hanisrofen. Hanisrofen is min haTorah. Each of the nisrofen, Chazal say, Dafka Sreifa. What are the nikvorim? All Isurei Hanoah, which are not nisrofen, are nigaborim. Why? Mishum tekola. So what I mean to say, even the nisrofim, but Chazal, are choishes mishum tekola. It is as if there's an isser to keep Isurei Hanoah in your house and not dispose of immediately. So I regret what I said before. I think it's a bad minig to keep challah all year, to keep it for seifas chometz. Because it is not only shittas Rashi that it's mishum tekola, it's against the Mishnah. Because kol hanekborim min haTorah, there's no chiyuv not to burn, not to bury. Burial is always a derabanan. Mishum tekola. So we see, Chazal were makbeh, the person should not keep Isurei Hanoah which is Ra'ui Lachile in his house. So how could you keep
But if it's just
challah for a year?
if it's an Isa,
Just
it wasn't baked. It's just Isa. No one's gonna eat it. It's sitting in the freezer. Maybe
you could bake it and eat it. Theoretically. Theoretically.
My wife, she could not appreciate, and it became one of the Rahmaniyot. You could add.
once you put it in the freezer.
Yeah. If Chazal asad mishum tekola, we're not machalik. We're not machalik. If Chazal asad mishum tekola, we're not
Out of the house
machalik.
in one of these containers?
What?
Out of your house in one of the designated containers? Is better than? Or
Okay, so I don't think it's such a good minig as we explain. So tomorrow night is Lag Baomer. In our changing world, Lag Baomer has become a universal Yom Tov, not only for Hasidim and for Svardim, but for Litvish B'nai Torah as well. It wasn't always that way. My precious son-in-law Bainish tells a story. I don't remember the name, but a Rebbe once asked a Litvish Rosh Hashiva, how was Lag Baomer by Rabbi Yeruchim? Do I have it right? Yeah? What did they do Lag Baomer? So he said, Lag Baomer? They said, Hayom Shloisha V'Shloishim Yom Shehem Chamisha Shavuos V'Chamisha Yomim Lo'omer Arboa Shvias V'Chamisha Yomim Lo'omer. That was Lag Baomer. But today Lag Baomer is a big thing. You know, the differences between Hasidim and Litvish are somewhat more fuzzy today than they were in the past. Siddur Hagra L'Shem Yichud Hineni Michunim Mizum Melakayim Mitzvahs Aseichel Svias Uvoima. It's ridiculous. Rabbeinu Sheloila Masha Pagamti B'Svir and Siddur Hagra. All the Siddurim Nishach Ashkenaz, we have L'Shem Yichud, we have Rabbeinu Sheloilam, so maybe people feel that this is a very special day. So the Shulchan Aruch does bring that also l'staper ad Lag Baomer she'oimrim sheboi b'yoim pasku melomus. So we do find the Shulchan Aruch Semetov Tzadik Gimel that Lag Baomer is different, and it's a very interesting wording in the Shulchan Aruch. She'oimrim, people say, doesn't bring a source, but they say that Lag Baomer pasku melomus. And that is why we're not noig minhag Avedas. And the Ramah writes there, noyagin ktsas simcha, ein oimrim tachnun. So the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah do say that Lag Baomer is different than other Yemei Asvira. Why? We find many different reasons. Many say that this is the day in which Reb Shimon bar Yochai Ola B'Saro Hashamaymo. Shuvas Chasam Sof Yeridei Reish Lamed Gimel. He writes that I heard that in Tzvas they dance and sing, and I don't understand why. Kosher Selukim Shel Tzadikim Kisreifes Beis Elokeinu. So why? What's the simcha? Writes Chasam Sof Reish Lamed Gimel Yeridei. The Shoyla Meishav is extreme, and he writes in Chela Kesim Alamed Tes Shuvas Shoyla Meishav. I'm sure that the Beis Yosef and the Ramah wouldn't let them do that, and in their days they didn't do it. That's what the Shoyla Meishav writes. V'kvoidoi b'mkoim emunach. He was the Gadol Ador, but obviously he was not familiar with the Shara Kavonis. And the Shara Kavonis is one of the Shmoyne Shorim, the most important source in Kizvei Ha'ari, more important than all the other Svarim, as we know. And Shara Kavonis Drush Yud Beis, Reb Chaim Vital describes not only that he wasn't Moicha, like the Shoyla Meishav would expect of him, that he was up there. And he was rejoicing together with all the others. Masa Shahoyo. And Reb Chaim Vital is made. So obviously, some Sofer, the Shoyla Meishav, didn't get it. So there is something about Lag Baomer, which is, yes, it's about Simcha. And in the Mekabolim we find many sources. So some say it's the Yom Dehilula of Reb Shimon. The Chidah is skeptical about that. There is no source that Reb Shimon passed away in Lag Baomer, because the stalkus of Reb Shimon is described in great length a stirring and moving description in the Idra, which is part of the Zohar, but there's no mention of a date. And in the Zohar, there's no mention when that happened, and the Chidah was one of the Gedolim Mekabolim, doubts the assumption that Reb Shimon was nostalgic on Lag Baomer. So the Meiri says Lag Baomer is a happy day because there no longer was a Megefa. Like the Shulchan Aruch says, Oimrim sheboi biyoim posku melamus. So Reb Chaim Vital, Drush Yud Beis in Shara Kavona, says a totally new approach in the name of the Ari. All the others try to explain that Lag Baomer is a special day because special things happened on that day. But the Ari says, no, it goes the other way around. Whatever happened on that great day happened because Lag Baomer is a special day. Rabbi Yankev Emden, Siddur Beis Yankev, writes a gewaltige Pelle. He writes, why are we happy on Lag Baomer? Because Lag Baomer is a yom shekuloi midas adin. Kuloi midas adin. And because it's such a terrible midas adin, it's nefach l'rachamim. Kamo she'omru b'Sanhedrin daf Yud Zayin, Sanhedrin she'ro'u kulom l'choivo potre moisoi. An interesting analogy. Ma kesha? If the Sanhedrin of Chov Gimel are done din and nefoshes, and not one of them is royas chus, kulam ro'u l'choivo potre moisoi. So Rabbi Yaakov Emden says there's such an immense midas adin and Lag Baomer, it's unbearable. Can it be? It's the end of the world. So Kodesh Baruch Hu has to intervene. And if he intervenes, then everything will be okay. If Kodesh Baruch Hu takes care of us directly, then everything is going to be okay. Then everything is going to work out. That's Rabbi Yaakov Emden. But he doesn't explain why is it midas adin. So Reb Chaim Vital brings from there, Elokim is midas adin, as we all know. Shem Havai is rachmim, Shem Elokim is midas adin. So what I'm saying now is not so much Kabbalah, it's more numbers and letters. So there he says, Elokim is midas adin. It is nefech l'rachamim when the three middle letters move back. Achdatam is a Shem of Rachamim. The Lamed becomes a Chaf, the He becomes a Dalet, the Yud turns into a Tes, three middle letters move back, one space, and Din is Nefech LaRachamim when Shem Elokim is Nefech L'Shem Achdatam. Some later commentaries in the Shara Kavonas say, why after the three inner letters? What about the Aleph and the Mem? And they say the Aleph has nowhere to go. If he moves back, he falls off the cliff. He has nowhere to go. The Mem is an endemem, a Mem Sofit. If he moves back, he's still a Mem. And therefore, three little middle letters. Libi Oimali, no, it's not a technicality. Comes to indicate that the pnimius of midas adin is always rachamim. Kol diyovid rachmon eletav ovid, as Rabbi Kiva says. Gam zu letoiva. Mi'itay loy teitze arois. Whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu does in a way, in pnimius, if we would be able to see and understand, we would understand that it's rachamim. And that's why the oisias of pnimios are always those that are mahafech din lerachamim. So the Ari explained. Chav Dalates is begematria Lamed Gimel, and that's the sod of a Lag Baomer. Achdatam is begematria Ayin Dalet 74, and that is the remes of Eid Hagal Hazeh. Gal is Lag Baomer, the three letters that are Mahapech Din Rachamim. Achdatam, which is the Shem of Rachamim, is 74, and I add on the numerical difference between Hey, Lamed, Hey, Yud, and Chof, Dalet Tet is 12, and that is the gematria of Zeh, and that is Eid Hagal Hazeh. And that is how Din is Nefech LaRachamim. And the five oisias of Elokim is Keneged Chameshes Rabuiseinu Shebedorim, and those were the later Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva. After the destruction and the devastation of Chof Dalet Elef Talmidim, that perished in Pesach Latzeres, the salvation of Klal Yisrael was those 5 later Talmidim. So what I said to this point is the pnimius of the Ari and Reb Chaim Vital, and according to their interpretation, Lag Baomer is not Lag Baomer because of special events that happened on this day, the other way around. Because this day, in its essence, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Brias Olam, this day is a day in which din is nefach l'rachamim. And maybe that is why this day took Asora Atorois, and great events happened in Lag Baomer. That's why it's the Yom Simcha. But let's come back to the Pashtus. So the Mechaber says, in this day Posku Melomas, and that's why it's a Yom Simcha. Why? What happened in Lag Baomer Sheposku Melomas? To understand why the plague was over, we need to understand why it happened in the first place. Yud Beis Elev Zugois Talmidim Hoyelo LeRabbi Kiva Yavom Esamech Beis Kol HaMeisu Ben Pesach Latzeres Shelo Yinagu Kovei Ze B'Ze V'hoyu Olam Shameim Ad Shebo Rabbi Kiva Etzel Rabbeinu Shebedorim V'shono Lahem. And many ask and don't understand why such a terrible Gzeira. Lo Yinagu Kovei Ze B'Ze. It's not Gimel Averis Chamura Shebetoira. It's not Chilul Shabbos. It's not Isurei Krisus and Mises Bezdin. Why? Why such a terrible Oynish? Meisu Ben Pesach Latzeres. So Libi Yoimeli, it was because they were Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva. And to be a Talmud of an Olam Gadol is not only a privilege. It's a huge responsibility. It's a mechayev. So many times I heard from my Rebbe, from the Kloisenberger Rebbe, Zechet Tzadik V'Kodesh Levrocha, many times he used to relate one of his earliest memories. And he used to say, I was a little boy, 5 or 6, and I was sitting in my great father's lap, and the father of the Kloisenberger Rebbe was the Rudnikarov, a direct Einikel, 3rd generation from the Divrei Chaim. I assume you heard about the Divrei Chaim, the Tzanzara. I hope so. So the Divrei Chaim was not only one of the great Rabbeim in his generation, he was also the Gadol Ador and one of the greatest poskim in the entire Tkufa of Achronim. I was sitting in my father's lap and he was crying. And I asked him, Father, why are you crying? And he told me, Zalman Leib, that's the way the Koisam Gareb was called as a child. I envy you. Ich bin dich mekana. And I didn't understand. And I asked my father, you're mekana me. You're a big Rebbe, you have many Hasidim. I'm a little boy, I don't even have one Chassid, so I should be mekana you. Why are you mekana me? So my father responded and said, I'm mekana you because you didn't see the Divrei Chaim. And I was once again perplexed. And I asked my father, I don't understand. Ipchem estavra. You did know the Divrei Chaim, so I should be mekana you. And my father is crying and he said, you didn't know the Divrei Chaim, so what will they expect of you? Lachamei Vesel. But I'll be asked, you were Mishamish the Divrei Chaim, you knew the Tzanzarov, and this is how you look. You learned nothing from the Divrei Chaim? You knew him? So being the Talmud of an Adam Gadol is not only a privilege, it could be a liability. It's a big mechayev. It's a huge responsibility. Menachas Nun Gimel Amud Aleph, an interesting passage. Nun Gimel Amud Aleph. Omre lo le Rav Preda, the Gabe, stormed into Rav Preda's room, and he said, we have a gewaldige choshev guest. Rav Ezra, bar berei de Rav Avtulas, שהוא דור הסירי לרב אלעזר ben Azariah, שהוא דור הסירי לעזרא הסופר כהן הבודי. Standing outside. Such an important person, the biggest yachsin. Rav Ezra, he's the enikel of Rav Avtulas, and people say he's the 10th generation of Rav Elazar ben Azariah, who was the 10th generation to Ezra Sofer, and he came to the Rebbe. How does Rav Avtulas respond? Well, any Rebbe today would take out his most colorful kaftan, the one that he wears on special occasions with the streimel, and he would call all the Hasidim and go out, and they would dance and sing. So Rav Preda says, "My kulahai, why are you so excited? What do you mean to tell me? Ibar Urianhu, Ibar Avhanu, if he really is a Yachsin, yeah. Ibar Aryan, Vibar Avhan, Ubar Aryanhu, if he's Yachsin, and he's a Lamdin as well, yeah, even better. Ibar Avhanhu, Velo Bar Urian, Isha Teichlei. If he's a Yachsin and he's not a Talmud Chochem, Isha Teichlei. Let him be burned by fire." It's an interesting passage. It's a Menachos Nun Gimel Amud Aleph. But what we see from here, if he is a Yachsin and he doesn't learn Torah, it is only to his detriment. Won't help him at all. If you are 10th generation from Rav Elazar ben Azariah, 10th generation from Ezra HaSofer, you had a great Zayda, then how come you're not a Bar Urian? How come you don't learn Torah? The Shloah Kodesh, Parshas Bechukos say, in middle of the Toichacha, V'zocharti es brisi Yankov, v'af es brisi Yitzchok, v'af es brisi Avrom Eskor, v'ha'oretz Eskor. Lefi pshutam shel. This indicates that even in the darkest midas adin, Kodesh Baruch Hu won't forsake us. He will always remember our avos. But the Shlo says that is part of the Toichacha. V'zocharti es brisi Yankov, es brisi Yitzchok, v'af es brisi Avrom. You are Zera, Avrom, Yitzchok, v'Yankov. How did you dare? How did you dare to forget about a Kodesh Baruch Hu? How did you dare to violate my Torah and mitzvahs? And I will remember to your detriment. And that's only stoking the fire. And that's only ma'orer midas adin, that you are Zera, Avrom, Yitzchok, and Yankov, and you learned nothing from them. So the Chazon B'Garevi told this story, and I say, maybe because they were Talmidei Rebbe Kiva, and that's why they were punished so harshly and so terribly. And Min HaShamayim, they were asked, you, of all people, lo inagu kavod zeh b'zeh, you learned nothing from your great Rebbe. Rebbe Kiva is the one in Yerushalmi, Daf Lamed, in Yerushalmi in Masechet Nedorim, Rebbe Kiva says, v'yahavtu re'echo kamoichu zeh klal godel b'Torah. Rebbe Kiva is the one in Perek Gimel Masechet Avos, Chavav Odom shenivru b'Tzelem, Chibi Yasera Noidas Lo Chavivin Yisol Shenikra Bonam Lamokoim. Rebbe Kiva is the one in Pesachim Chov Beis and in Kedushin Nun Zayin that says Shemenu Emsoimi Hoyadorish Kol Esin Shebetoire Kivin Shegia LaEs Hashem Elokecho Tiro Peresh At Shabo Rebbe Kiva V'Omer LaRabos Talmidei Chachamim. So you call yourselves Talmidim of Rebbe Kiva and you learned nothing from him. Where's your Ahavas Reim? Where's your Kavod Chaverim? Where is your Yiras Talmidei Chachamim? L'Rabos Talmidei Chachamim v'lo nahaktem kavod zeh b'zeh. Yes, it wasn't to their benefit. That was ma'orer midas adin, because they were Talmidei Rebbe Kiva. And an additional dogush. Rebbe Kiva was the greatest Tana of his generation. Maybe the greatest Tanur, the greatest Tana. But that is a different discussion. Definitely greatest Tana of his generation. And he was designated by the Hashgoch Alyonah to be Matikei Hashmua. And that was the tafkod of his Talmidim. And the Torah of Matikei Hashmua needs to be pure. Torah of Matikei Hashmua needs to be Noki Mekol Ravav Mekol Shemetz Mekol Begam. And if they weren't Naga Kavod Zeh B'Zeh, they needed to move aside and make room for others. Make room for others. V'hoya Olam Shameim. Who were they? Rabboseinu Shebedorim. 5. According to Kehelas Rabbah, Perek 6. Reb Meir bar Anes, Reb Yehuda bar Iloi, Reb Yossi ben Chalafta, Reb Shimon bar Yochai, and Reb Elazar ben Shamua. According to the Medrash, Reb Nechemiah. And I was Mizboinen B'Shas and a Midrash Chazal, and I found an amazing revelation. First of all, 5 instead of 24,000. Strange yachas. 24,000 perished. And we don't know who they were. We don't know who they were. In their place, 5. But those 5, mehem yotzu Torah lekol Yisrael ledoros olam. And whatever we learn is the Torah of Rabbi Seinu Shebedorim. What do I mean to say? Sanhedrin Pevav, the Gemara says, Stam Mishnah Reb Meir, Stam Safro Reb Yehuda, Stam Safri Reb Shimon, Stam Tosefta Reb Nehemiah. And that's the entirety of Torah Shebal Peh. Mishnah, Brisa, Safro, Safri, Ve'idach Pirusha. The Bavli and the Yerushalmi are commentary. The entirety of Torah Shebal Peh is the Torah of Rabbi Seinu Shebedorim, Ve'in Zulosam. And Torah Sasad, Kabbalah once again, is the Zohar. Same Reb Shimon. So those 5 were Zoicha to what 24,000 were not Zoicha. Why? So Rabbi Akiva is the one that says in Avos, as I quoted before, Chovav Odom Shenivra B'Tzelem. Chibi Yisera Noidaslo Shenivra B'Tzelem Elokim. Reb Meir Balanes, number 1 of Rabbi Seinu Shebedorim, says in Tanchume Parshas V'Yechi, Kol HaMavorech Es Yisrael Kilu Mavorech Es HaShechina. Rabbi Yehuda Bar Eloi, Shira Shirim Rabbo, Beis Tezvov says, Kol HaMakabel Pnei Chaveroi Kilu Makabel Pnei Shechina. Interesting. It is Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda speaking, but we hear the bas kol of Rabbi Akiva. Chovav Odom Shenivra B'Tzelem, B'Tzelem Elokim Oso Oso Odom. Reb Meir, his Talmud says, Amavorech Es Yisrael, Amavorech Es HaShechina, Makabel Pnei Chaveroi, Makabel Pnei HaShechina. Who's number 3? Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, Shabbos Daf Kuf Yud Ches. Ma'olam, miyomei lo avarti al divrei chaverai. Yodei ani b'atzmi she'eni koyin. Ve'im yomeru l'chaverai, alei l'duchon, yisi oila. Who could say, I never was over al divrei chaverai? Not my rabbis, not my Rosh Hashivas. Miyomei lo avarti al divrei chaverai. That is the spirit of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai is the one quoted by Rabbi Yochanan in Brochas Mem Gimel and Bava Metzia and many other sources, and Soita Daf Yud Aleph. Noach le'lodem sheyapal asatzmo lekiv shanouesh va'al yalbem pnei chaveroi. That's kvoid chaverim. Rabbi Loza ben Shemua says, Moira rabcho k'moira shamayim, kvoid chaverchu k'moira rabcho, v'lo oilim yehei kvoid talmidcho chovevolecho. And that is a new chiddush. We need to respect not only the elders, not only our teachers, our talmidim as well. Yehei kvoid talmidcho chovevolecho. So Rabbi Seinu Shebedorim, they were real talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. Yes, and they knew what was Avos Leim and Kavoid Chaverim and Moira Rav and Moira Talmidei Chachamim. They were fitting and they were ra'ui to call themselves Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, and that's why they were Zoich to be Matikei HaShmua. They and only they were the ultimate Matikei HaShmua. And Mishnah v'Brisa, Safro in Safri, Terosim Shel Rabbi Seinu Shebedorim. So what happened on Lag Baomer? Many times I quote Rabbi Sol Salanter and the Chidush Arim. Both say, Mem Tes Yemei Asvir are associated with Memches Dvorim Shatoyre Nikneis Behem. And they demanded from their Hasidim and Talmidim, Halocha l'maaseh, each and every day of the Svira, you need to work on one of the Kinyonei Torah. Bezeh achar zeh. And you need to progress from one day to the other. Memches yemei Svira keneged memches dvorim shetoyre nikneis behem. I don't know whether Rabbi Akiva was a chassid or a misnagid. How would I know? My feeling is he was a chassid. Reb Shimon bar Yochai definitely. I can't prove it. And I'm a negea b'davar. So I'm aware that I am biased. But whether he was a chassid or a misnagid, it's the Besolat Salanta and the Chidush Arim. So whatever you are, you can't escape it. It is what the Chidush Arim demanded from his Chasidim, and Besolat Salanta requested the same from his Talmidim. Memches keneged memches, and every day you work on a midah. So if you take out a siddur or a mishnayis, and you start counting Memches Dvorim Shatoyre Nikneis Behem. It's either Lamed Beis or Lamed Gimel. There are different opinions on the Memches Dvorim. Either Lamed Beis or Lamed Gimel is Oyhei Vesabriyos. So probably Rabbi Kiva demanded from his Talmidim the same as the Chidusharim at Rabbi Sol Salanta. Arbeit, work. Every day of your Mei Asviri you need to work on one of the Midas, on one of the Kinyonim of Torah. And when they did so, and they came to Oye Vesabriyos, and they saw people falling right and left, they saw the Chavedim perishing and dying. So when they worked on Aves Abrius and they were metakin shaloi nagu kavod zeh bezeh pasku melomis. That is what happened on Lag Baomer, and that is why mepnei she'oimrim sheboi b'yoim pasku melomis, because they once again became Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva, and once again they learned his Torah. V'yahavtu l'rechu kamoichu zeh klal godel b'Torah. So, in these days, this is something we need to focus on and work on. Ahav Asreim, Kavoid Chaverim, Kavoid Talmidei Chachamim, Hamar B'Sholem B'Yolam, B'Avo, B'Achva, B'Sholem V'Reus. That is Avodas Hayoim. So we should be Zoiche. In these Yemei Asvira, B'Schus Atana Hu Eloki, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. It's a great day. Tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people go up north to the kever of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Ma'or Einayim was one of the great Chassidish masters. At the end of the Sefer, the Alakutim, on Masechet Shabbos, the Ma'or Einayim says, if you can't go to the kever, learn Reb Shimon's Torah, and it's just as good. Learn Reb Shimon's Torah. It's not so hard, because there's more. Reb Shimon is quoted more times in the Mishnah than any other Tana. He tops the list, Reb Shimon. Learn Reb Shimon's Torah, and you will be nana from his schus, and your tefillas will be neskabel. So we should be zoicha the schus of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and the schus of the tefillas on this great day. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be mekabel al tefillas, and we should be mevasa b'seiris toivos, bebona chaya, mezoyne ravicha, and brias toiva, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should send Moshiach Tzidkenu, Hu Rachamon, Hu Yachzalonu, Avodas Beis Hamikdosh Lemekoimo B'Mheiro V'Yomeinu Amen Yisrael.